Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we are looking at a rather hard to find classic game. This is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, but this is not the regular version of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. This is the Jack the Ripper and West End Adventures version. It's actually a separate game with different adventures in it than the regular Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. If you've played Mythos Tales, you've basically played the same type of game as Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. It's a very interesting game in that it's got a lot of open opportunities to do different things and try and talk to different people to solve the case. It's like a really good version of 221B Baker Street. If you've played that, you know how much that game's awful. If you like that game, you'll love this one. It's way better. So this is a big, heavy box. It's pretty hard to find right now. They seem to do small print runs, which irritates the crap out of me because it's a fantastic game that every gamer, I think, should have. You can get normal people to play this. It takes a little teeth pulling sometimes because it is a little bit more abstract than others, but it's a game that can be played by 1 to 8 players. So you can play this solo if you want. And it's just as hard. It's just as hard because if you're playing with a decent sized group, you'll bicker over where to go next because you only have so many actions before you have to have the answers to the questions. So you may not even get to all the places, so you have to make compromises. It's a good team building game. Takes about 90 minutes to play. It's aimed at ages 12 and up. I would venture that it's probably actually better to have slightly older kids, maybe teenagers, if you're going to have kids play it. It's put out by Asmodee, maybe, and Space, what is this? Space Cowboys? This was 2016 Space Cowboys copyright. The Asmodee logo is copyright them. So Asmodee and Space Cowboys put it out. Now originally this was, I think, about 75 bucks, but it's probably going to cost you more than that if you want to pick it up now. It's an expensive game, but I think it's worth it. Highly recommend it. And inside we're going to find 2 maps, London and Whitechapel, 10 case booklets, 10 newspapers, 1 directory, 1 rulebook. So what it is you get your case and you go to different locations, flip to a certain part of the book. If you saw the opening of, what's the name of that game I did? Now I'm blanking on the name, I could see it. But yeah, the survival horror game where you're in Russia and trying to salvage stuff. If you saw that one, I keep wanting to say it's The Last of Us, but it's not. That's a video game. That one played similar to this, so if you saw that one and you know what I'm rambling about, good for you. Otherwise, very similar to Mythos Tales, almost identical format, honestly. So let's open this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, I'd really like to see them do another one of these games, a third one, because these are really cool, and there's a lot you can do with Sherlock Holmes. So, hopefully they'll do a third one. That would be awesome. So it opens up like this, and there's the contents. It's a pretty thick box, but you won't want to stack stuff on top of it because it will crush. So you'll want to put it on a book stand so it's standing up on end. Alright, so here's our rule book. Now the rules are pretty straightforward, but this is really nice matte finish, thick paper, very colorful. You can see that I think it's like 8 or 9 pages long from the look of it, but there's not a lot of text. There's a lot of images and a lot of open negative space here that really kind of brings it together. It gives you examples. So there's actually not a lot to have to learn to play. It's actually a pretty easy game. It seems more complicated than it actually is. Here's your directory. This is essential to the game. All these pieces are necessary to the game. So you want to make sure this is complete if you buy it. The directory tells you where places are on the map. So like if you wanted to go to the Bank of England, it's at 23 EC. So you would find EC and then go to number 23 on the map. So there's all these different locations that you could conceivably go. Some of these are nothings. And some of them, they all change by scenario. So certain people you'll have to track down. You can use this to find people or places that somebody alludes to. And there may be multiple people with that name. So you'll need to do further investigation or go to both of them and waste a turn finding out that one of them's the wrong one. That sort of thing. So there's that. Then we have our map here. This is London. This is a fourfold map. This is just thick cardstock, so you'll want to be very careful with it. So you don't, you're going to want to make sure the center area is not torn, because over time it will tear. I have it upside down, sorry. There's Sherlock looking through his magnifying glass. But like, let's say you wanted to go to, here's Blackfriars Bridge. Goes over the Thames. There's number 38 and 39 and 40, and this is all in different districts. So yeah, like the blue line here denotes a different district. It's pretty cool. Regent's Park is up here. Then you've got Hyde Park. All the different little parks, different locations, real world and imaginary. 221B Baker Street, I'm sure, is on here. Now here's the Whitechapel district on the back. Again, you want to make sure the map is in really good shape so that, because you need the maps. You absolutely need the map. And there's different locations not on here, like the Unity Church is off the map, so it's noted on this like sheet of paper here. And there's a couple other locations here, but largely the Whitechapel district. There's EC here, there's E over here. So you'll want to make sure that the map is in good shape, because as you can see there's a lot of extra space here, but that extra space is used on the other side. So that's the map. And then the newspapers. The newspapers contain clues or factoids that can help you. So you'll want to pay close attention. Unfortunately, these are very thin paper. So these are a little subpar in my opinion. They could have done a little better. Mythos Tales had them much nicer, I think. But you'll want to be very careful with these. But it's got information on here that can help you in your case. And they're different dates. So like London, Saturday, September 1st, 1888. So and this is price of 3D. So if you're acting out that scenario, you'll want to read this and read as much of it as you can, because there'll be different things in here that relate to your case. Now, I don't know, but it's possible that like older newspapers from previous cases could be useful too. It can't hurt to keep them around. So we've got one labeled September 1st, 1888. Then we've got September 10th, 1888. Then we've got the Star Special Edition, October 3rd, 1888. That's a Whitechapel one. The Star, Sunday, November 11th, 1888. Then we've got the Police News, Tuesday, September 13th, 1898. Were these 1898 or 1888? 1898. Okay, that's 10 years later. But that looks like one of the actual scenes that was put in the newspapers for the Ripper murders. So that's a possibility. Then we've got the Pall Mall Gazette, Evening Edition, Friday, September 16th, 1898. The London Times, Monday, September 19th, 1898. The Pall Mall Gazette Evening Edition, September 24th, 1898. The Police News, September 30th, 1898. A child stolen by a monkey. Okay. Bad monkey. And lastly, the London Times, Tuesday, October 18th, 1898. So if you're missing one, you'll know which one you're missing now. Like I said, these are probably fairly fragile, so you want to take very good care of them. The paper is very thin. I don't think they'll hold up to heavy usage, so please be gentle with them if you want to play the game. Alright, next we have the Mary Ann Nichols, Chapter 1, September 1st, 1888. Mary Nichols was the first Ripper victim, as I recall. There's different things in here. There's a mystery envelope. That's probably the results. So I'm not going to open that, spoilers and all. So that'll probably be the end of the case. You'll want to be careful with opening this because you might rip, because it is adhered to the booklet. You'll want to be careful. It does fold out, but I'm not going to show you the contents of it because it's cheating. So the questions are at the back here, and then different solutions are back here as well. They're printed upside down from the regular text. See, here's page 17, and then there's onto historical notes and stuff like that. So we're not going to cheat that way. But there's different text here that'll tell you things to read or information you can gather. Then we've got Anne Chapman. She was, I believe, the second one. Yep, Chapter 2. Monday, September 10th, 1888. Same thing. At the back is the questions and the answers, and the various notes and stuff. So you're doing each murder incident by incident. Then we've got number 3 here. Chapter 3, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Victims 3 and 4. Same thing. Really nice, smooth booklet. Really good quality paper inside. Very high end. There's quite a bit here, and it will take multiple sessions. Probably each one of these books is probably going to be at least one session. This one is Mary Jane Kelly, Chapter 4. I'm sure you'll see all the popular Ripper suspects like Kosminski and the Doctor. So here we've got a different case. This is the 5th case. So we did those 4, and then this is a 5th case. Same thing, really nicely laid out. I really dig the floral wall print pattern on here. That definitely has a retro feel to it. Then we've got The Murder of Sherlock Holmes, 6th case, Friday, September 16th, 1898. Same deal, same type of layout. Then we've got our 7th case, A Question of Identity. Same thing, very nice artwork inside. Our next case, The Death of a Transylvanian Count. 8th case. He got stabbed with wooden stake. Then we've got The Savage Club, the 9th case. Same deal. Some of these are thicker than others. And then our last case is A Simple Case of Murder. It's the 10th case. 10 cases. Quite a bit actually for a game like this. It gives you a lot to work with. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of people are going to play this game once, but I think it's worth it. Everything is real high-end except for the newspapers. That's my only complaint, is the newspapers are kind of crap quality, so you want to be aware of that. The map is nice and thick paper. It's thick, heavy stock printer paper, basically, but you don't want to get it wet for sure. The directory, also nice. It's supposed to look all beat up and like an old used ledger. Rulebook, real nice. Oh, everything except for the newspapers is very high quality. I don't even fault them too much on the newspapers because I think you should probably take good care of your stuff. But that's the only thing I'd be worried about really being missing. Everything else obviously should be here. But I'm a huge fan of these style of games. I think it's a little more open. I think they're very fun. And it makes it for a much more interesting game night than your average moving pieces around. So I highly recommend this. All the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective games, this one, the one that's previous to this, the regular Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and any future releases I will buy. I would gladly buy, and Mythos Tales, which is a Cthulhu-themed version of a game like this. So that one's put out by 8th Summit, I believe. But I highly recommend it. I really like this play format. I hope they come out with more of these games, because I will definitely be there to get one. But this is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Jack the Ripper, and West End Adventures. It's a pseudo kind of role-play game where you're just trying to solve a case, but without any of the character sheets or dice or bad acting that comes along with that. So I definitely recommend this. I think everything except the newspapers are really nice quality and definitely worth the investment as far as game goes. But that'll do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, and we hope to see you on the next episode of What's Inside.